And welcome back to Sullivan's Unheard Voices. I'm here with Blake and Bronwyn. You two are so much fun.
Aw.
And we were just talking a little bit about before we came on the podcast about how I even came to know of your existence, because it's a very interesting story. Because I was reached out to, I would imagine it's a bot from your point of view, and it was like, hey, I was a part of this band, and then it was like the third sentence they tried to solicit me for money to help with a record. I'm like, this is not her. And so I'm like, you know what? But then I checked you out and I found Baz Moto, and I'm like, these are awesome people.
No, thank
And
you so
just like
much.
how much the energy you all have on stage, and like from an outsider's perspective, right? The
Yeah.
thing that I enjoy most is how you both communicate with each other while you're on stage. Like, it's a beautiful thing to see, you two. I just wanted to acknowledge that. So thank you so much
Oh, you're
for being
kind.
here today. So and the first question is, how did you get started in music? What was your pathway to start?
You wanna go first?
Sure, that's such a great question. Oh my goodness. I can't remember a time when I wasn't singing from the time I was 2 or 3 years old. My mom said I was singing before I could talk. So I grew up in children's choirs, piano lessons, musical theater, opera. Went to school for the same in college, and have just been playing and singing my entire life. And then how I got into rock from musical theater, opera, and jazz is a different story. But I'll let Blake go next.
Yeah, I guess, like a lot of people generationally, I saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, but I was very young. I just had the image of like that was really cool, and there was a lot of people screaming. That's interesting. And then, yeah, as the years went on, you always remember like music and maybe your first memories of music. So, as a kid, you play piano, and I want to play guitar. Then, and as the '80s rolled around, I want to play synthesizers because there's new wave bands, and then all of a sudden there's hard rock bands with synthesizers, and that's all fun. So yeah, so that's part of the journey, and then you just play in bands. Some of them get signed and tour the world, and some of them play clubs, and that's fun too. It's all part of the collective.
And then from your perspective, though, I'm always fascinated by this. Like, did learning the keyboard or the piano make it easier to learn guitar and then further like the synthesizer?
I think for me, guitar has always been a strange thing. So I still take lessons, and I'm still trying to figure out the relationship between the keyboard and the guitar because it's just linear and flat, and that's easy. But the figures and the positions of guitar will always be a challenge.
Yeah.
But note wise, it's easy to communicate. I find myself being able to communicate a little bit better these days with guitar players. So like I said, that first position, just do that. Yeah.
There's definitely a reason why you start out with keyboard and piano in music school and way before when you're young. It's the foundation for everything else.
And that brings me back to what you were sort of talking
Mm.
about beforehand. Is like, how did you transition into rock? Because that's a fascinating story. I want to hear it.
Yeah, it's a good question. Let's see. Uh, in one of my college eras, I won't go into too much detail because it'll take too much time. I ended up singing for someone's wedding who wanted me to then sub in his rock band and then sing lead in his rock band. And I was like, "This is even more fun than musical theater," and I never thought I'd have more fun than musical theater because you really can do whatever you want within, of course, the constraints of thinking about the rest of your band, which is very important. And it was so much fun, I just dove in, I never looked back. Mm.
That's so awesome. And so, like, if you're thinking about it from like along the way, at what point did you realize, hey, I'm pretty good at this singing thing?
That's that's a great question. I think, as you go along enjoying yourself and working hard in elementary school and middle school and high school, I think my high school choir teacher encouraged me to, as I won competitions and so forth, go to school in it. And also, it was the most fun I'd ever had. Like, music school was clearly going to be what I did. I never thought about anything else, honestly. And then you just keep working from there.
And then how about you, Blake? At what
Yeah.
point did you start to say, I'm pretty good at this whole keyboard thing? Because you also have a nice voice.
Oh, thank
So
you.
it kind of goes hand in hand.
Mhm.
But at what point did you start thinking like, I'm pretty good at this?
I never thought of myself as a piano guy, keyboard guy. I always felt like I like to be good enough to hold it together in a band situation and be able to sing background. and that's always what I thought my role was going to be not necessarily lead singer, lead keyboard guy, but I thought I'm going to be the orchestrator keyboard guy. I'll fill in all the things that the guitar player doesn't do. Or, if I had to think about listening to especially 70s records
Mhm.
where everything is orchestrated. It's like, as I became like more of a, it had more gear. So how can I replicate that and make it feel like that record? And so
Mhm.
you start listening, picking out just the one little part that it's going to be the one everyone listens to when they hear the band. If that part's not there, you're a bunch of jerks or something. But that part better be there. So you start
Right.
picking apart records and what makes that record special.
One of the
Uh,
fun things about doing a cover band is every song we do, we think about how can we cover this most authentically with every single person filling in parts. And if I may say, it's one of the things I'm really proud of. We never use tracks. Everything is played live on authentic instruments, and I'm really proud of that.
And I do have to call out how much I appreciate your bass player fits in with your band. Like that whole look is just like you see those ears, and it's just like, yeah, she's the coolest person ever. Like, so how did Baz Moto become into being?
well, let's see. This iteration of the band, Baz Moto, is kind of well, I had this band previously, and Annalise, our bass player, was part of it. Camille would be our sub drummer, and so that was like awesome. So, and those two had played together in the Prince band Erotic City for a long time, so they were already uh, a rhythm section in waiting.
Mhm.
And so Bronwyn and I had been doing some trio duo shows, and a lot of these shows people asked, do you have like a band version of this? And we said, sure, yeah, we do, yeah. And we didn't really, but we knew people who would play with us, Annalise, Camille, and we kind of worked out a bunch of rehearsals and scheduling, and before you knew it, we had a band. And the last piece with our guitar player Brandon, we just stumbled across at an event.
He saw us performing and introduced himself, and it was a dream
We
team.
were
Yeah.
doing a Saturday Night Live skit, and he saw us do it, and he thought, "You guys are amazing. I play guitar."
So wait, you all were doing a Saturday Night Live skit?
Mhm.
Tell me more.
You know the Pulp?
Yeah,
Don't do drugs.
yeah.
And they do all those ridiculous,
Oh my God,
like
that's so
rap
epic.
versions of things, like with Eminem and Dino and everything. We did that whole thing live, the one, the Don't Do Drugs rally, and Brett Gannon was like, "Wait, you did that live?" And you're like, "That's so." It was a
So I was wearing
match
the
made in
the
heaven.
skinhead, or the skin, bald cap and the beard thing, and you were dressed very conservative.
Yes, yes, much more than usual on stage, but
That is so awesome.
so I had been fronting a band, that was a lot of fun, an all 80s kinda new wave band for about 10 years, and Blake had his band, and we met under that circumstance and just started working together, and it just took off from there. So we
Yeah.
each left or ended our previous project and formed this one.
And a lot of people don't understand that i- the amount of work it takes to be stage ready, regardless if it's your own material or someone
Yeah.
else's. And so I also want to acknowledge that you can see the amount of work you all put in along the way, because the final product is definitely that of like, because so along those lanes, right? So when you go to a show, do you have a set list with you, or do you sort of like vibe on the audience? Like, how does that work? Because
There's
every show is unique with you two.
Right.
Yeah, we try and do like every show a little different than the last one, especially some people just specifically ask for theme shows. Can you do an all 70 show? Yeah. All 80 shows, sure. And or 90s and 2000s become a thing. Or if there's like we're watching the room change over from demographically it's boomers to start out because earlier, and then
Mhm.
it turns later it's Gen Xers and
Yeah.
millennial people, and so it's like, we're gonna change it. We have kind of a song list, and then we start like, okay, let's move on. And someone requested, Spice Girls. All right, let's do Spice
Yeah.
Girls.
Blake and I have a very specific format. We build a set list for every show. And then we have a whole extras list that we pull from depending on whether we feel like we need this, we need that, we need this. So, and everyone gets it ahead of time. Everyone knows what we're going to be doing and they know what the extras are. So we're prepared. That's a good question. So it's kind of a combination.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating because like I love that you have the flexibility to change with the audience, because you never know who's going to show up.
Mhm.
And at the same time, it's like talk about a little bit from your perspective as an artist. what do you love about the audience participation part? Because you all get people dancing. And so what is it about your commitment to the music that gets people dancing?
Oh, so much fun. You want to answer that?
Well, I think part of the maybe the cliche thing about a cover band is like people just do a reading of the songs, just sort of like, we're checking the songs out the list and here we go. But I think what we try and do is perform everyone who sings in our band or plays, we try and perform these songs, so it feels like you're getting, your money's worth, or you're really getting a live experience. You came out you came off your couch to come to the club to have a good time,
Right.
and that band, no matter what band it is, they better be performing.
Right. Right.
Because some people paid $20 to get in, and we respect that, and we better deliver that,
That's very true.
at least $20 worth of entertainment.
And I
Well,
just can't help myself. Sorry. I have so much fun. People ask where I get my energy. I just have such a good time with the music. I can't help it. And seeing the audience have a fun time with that and getting to be on wireless, thanks to Brandon, our amazing guitarist who also does our sound. He's incredible. He's also a DJ. He's very talented. I'm completely wireless, so I can run around the crowd as much as I want. Dance with people, get them involved in the lyrics, get them like in Love Shack, everyone is involved. I can get down with people. It's such a joy. Nothing gives me more joy than seeing people have a good time and dance and yell the lyrics along with me and come up and request stuff that they know we do.
and I love that every once in a while you throw out something funk.
Oh yeah.
Like that's just like because that's like one of those dying. I don't say dying genres. It's just like one of those underappreciated genres that a lot of bands don't pull into, but it's such
Yeah.
a good vibe. So like every once in a while you see those like yeah, that's cool.
That's when people request, even if it's supposed to be an all ladies show, they'll be like, "Can you do Uptown Funk?" Well, okay, sure.
Sometimes you just need a little funky music,
Well, yeah, there's a lot of, in the band, everyone listens to a lot of music,
Right.
like just from the 60s on up to now. So there's at rehearsal, there's always like song ideas just flying across the room. It's like, we should try this, we try this, we try. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, you have put up sheets of paper for every band member,
Yes. Everyone gets
and
both.
everyone's like,
Yep.
writes down the songs, their wish list
Yeah.
songs.
Yeah.
And it's pretty fun. So it's like, let's go back to the wish list. Let's see what's on there. And then we like figure out song to learn for the next 3 months or so. Let's have this ready by summer or something
For this
like that.
person's birthday
Oh
or
yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Every band member has a birthday show too, so we can do
that's awesome.
their
It's so fun.
playlist.
That's so
it's
cool.
it's fun to be in our band.
That's one other thing I feel very fortunate. It makes us special. We're very democratic. Everyone is asked to bring notes to.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, sure.
Give us a pause for a second.
Yeah.
You weren't picking you up.
Hmm. At all before or just now?
There we go.
Okay.
And we're back, folks. So
I was just saying, I feel so fortunate at our band. It's very democratic. Everyone is asked to bring ideas to the table and also notes from the last show, and it's constructively done. But it's like, hey, everybody, let's work on this section. We can do that better. Or I noticed this happening, and no one is criticized or yelled at or like, how dare you say that, or anything like that. We all want to be better. So I'm always recording us and listening back to see how I can improve, and I think everyone is part of that spirit.
And then that's something I always like to talk to bands about too, is because a lot of people that are up and coming, or they're starting to figure out, or wanting to be a part of the bands. What I want to hear from some of the established bands is why is it so important to have that sense of collaboration and just a very good vibe between you and your band members. Why is that important?
Well, a lot of times, sometimes you get a booking from a certain client. They want a certain playlist. Maybe it's a wedding, and so you definitely have your marching orders going in. But then you learn this material, and you kind of say, "Go, okay, let's hold on to that material because that really worked. That was really fun playing that." So maybe in the future we'll bring that out, pull that out of the back pocket. Maybe we'll add a special section to it, and then it evolves from that, and we're doing like mashups and medleys. Like, I think there is part of the concept of our band was like, let's fit in as many songs as we can in 5 to 7 minutes, and then we feel like almost like a DJ. So because I would say probably younger people, they're used to clubbing. A lot of young people don't hear bands, but they go to clubs and hear DJs. So there's kind of a concept of we're kind of scratching that itch from,
Mhm.
like we're fulfilling the DJ vibe without being a DJ.
Yeah.
And probably what you're getting at is that the spirit of collaboration in our band, like
Yeah.
getting along and it being democratic.
Yeah.
Everyone in our band right now, and we have a span of decades between the youngest and oldest member. Not that that matters, but everyone loves all kinds of music, and everyone is willing to do all kinds of music, willing to give things a try. Excited about some stuff, not as excited about other stuff, maybe, but they're still going to be all in. Because we all get turns in deciding what we're doing, and somebody might love something and somebody might not love something else, but they're still going to do it with a good attitude and learn it to their best, possible degree, and pitch in for everyone else, not only for what the client wants, but what somebody else in the band is excited about. And there's no like, I'm not going to do that song. Or I don't like that song. Or why are we doing that song? Which makes it
Mhm.
fun.
And you're practicing with these people for hours and hours. You're performing with these people for hours and hours. So it's very important that you get along
Yeah.
with your band.
So true.
Yeah.
Fun together. We love each other.
Mhm.
We travel together now. We're doing various tours.
How
It's a
cool
big,
is that?
yeah.
Where are you going next?
We'll be in Bend
Mhm.
in April,
Nice, yeah.
How cool is
Yeah.
that?
and then we'll be in the San Francisco area end of Memorial Day weekend if
Yeah.
you're down there.
And then again in November, and we were just there last November, and we're rebooked in some places, so that's fun. Yeah.
So when you all get to a venue, right? And it's one of the things I ask every musician that comes to our podcast. What is it that you like to see from a musician's perspective that makes your performance better on stage?
You wanna
clean
answer
a
that?
clean bathroom.
Yeah, I like that. It's a thing.
um, I think just like like a normal stage, as much normal as we can, like uh, um,
Plain normal.
yeah. Well, you go to some stages, they're oddly shaped, and then maybe the monitors are certain places. We don't necessarily have to worry about monitors anymore because we have in-ears,
Yeah.
which is great. Now we have more stage space. But yeah, just a rectangle would be great. Then we can logistically figure out where everyone is on stage. Um, I think in the past few weeks, it seems like that rectangular stage has been a lost thing.
Depends on where you are,
Yeah, but this would be great,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Uh,
There's a lot of octagonal kind of shapes or
playing stages with holes in them, playing stages with cracks in them, playing stages, uh without functioning equipment. We've dealt with it all, and we always make it work. That's another thing about the band. We pitch in. Our amazing, guitarist slash sound wizard figures it out. We had a show recently where we were like, "Oh, the speakers up there actually don't work." So he figured something out at the very last minute. He was like frantically running around. He figured it out. He's amazing. But
I think he rewired the whole
yeah, he just
room.
kind of rewired it and then it worked. It's like, wow, we love you. We love him anyway. But it's nice when things are ready to go and work, but they're not always. And that's why we get to every place early. So you never know what you're going to deal with.
And then in terms of like the venues itself, right? So like cuz one of the things that I try to stress upon venues is getting the sound right. And also I want to acknowledge that as a professional band, you will do whatever you need to do to make it sound right. But sometimes like just like come on, just do a little extra. And like cuz I think a lot of people don't understand that from the perspective of the venue and the artist, it's a win-win. If you can support your artists to produce the great music will produce more customers. And so it's like some venues get kind of short-sighted on that piece. And like some venues, like I understand, like a small venue, they only have 25 seats. That's all they can do. I get that. But if you're going to be a music venue, take a step back for a moment and just think about the musician's perspective, and it will help you. And something else I also want to acknowledge, because there are bands out there that I know don't do as well on the marketing side as you all do. When I go to your website, your dates are there. When I go to your social media, you have videos of what you all are doing, right? How important is that piece of it to the success of music?
Of our band in particular, or
Yeah.
music in general.
Just
Yeah,
in
both.
general. Yeah,
Yeah.
both.
I think it's absolutely been crucial for us because,
Yeah.
we're yet another cover band unless you really check out what we do and know when our shows are. And so many people have found us, just a lot of the bookers that have come to us lately and booked us for bigger things, like bigger and bigger things, found us on either our website or
Or
on
our,
social
our
media.
handy dandy flag.
Yeah, right. And we have our flyers that we handed at shows, and we're constantly posting whatever we have done most recently. It's essential. And bookers will email me and say, I want to book you for this date, but I see on your calendar that you're only free on this date. or people will find us for their weddings or private events that way. And yeah, again, if it's a lot of work. It's totally worth it, but it's a lot of work. Uh, but if people don't have an accurate calendar, they won't know when to come see us. They won't know if we're free, so they can book us, and they won't know what we really do as far as the videos go.
Well, if we don't care, no one else is going to
Right.
care. So, it's
Right.
just, it really is just, I spent some time in LA in the mid 80s during that whole metal scene on the Sunset Boulevard. So everyone was promoting. Everyone was just posters on phone poles and in clubs, coffee shops, or everywhere. And so as you kind of watch that go on, it's like, that's how it's done. Or, you spend time, touring around and you see everyone's postering like construction sites or whatever, just places where people walk by.
Mm.
It's just a way of life for
Mhm.
if you're a working band and you want people to follow you or have an idea who you are, maybe they won't see you, but I thought I saw that name somewhere. Where is
Right,
that?
right. Yeah, we hear that a
Yeah.
lot actually. And now social media is the new kind of post ring, as much as that
Yeah.
would be fun. And we're even wearing our shirts today, our band shirts.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then and when you were talking about like the list of songs and you're like doing the practice and all that stuff, are there certain parameters that you keep in mind, like the range of somebody's voices or the technical like what is the criteria that you're looking at for songs before you choose them to be able to sing?
That's a fun idea. Blake will answer this too, but the very first is how much of a hit is this song and how much will people really respond to it? That's probably a big part of the success is he's so good at picking out. He's been around forever. He knows all the what works and what doesn't. What is really going to make people respond is the first step.
I spent some time in the music industry, so amongst those days, you get to hang out with marketing people and managers, record label execs, and so you kind of hear the thought process of why a song is a hit. It's not really discussed, but there's little tidbits you pick up of why this song's bigger for an artist than this one, or how songs get chosen to be, say, the lead single.
Mhm.
With that in mind, as we are picking songs for our band, it's like, well, that's a big song for an artist, but this is probably the one everyone knows from that artist.
Mhm.
They're all hits.
Mhm.
There's songs that will last the test of time,
Mhm.
and then there's other songs by an artist that are just, the coattails of the test of time song. But also like, can we sing it? Like in all my bands I've ever played with, I've been the high voice background singer guy, or I've been in my cover bands for decades. Like I'm the Journey guy, or that voice. So I can cover a lot of things, and everyone has a certain character in any band, a voice, and they will fit certain songs perfectly. And then as you perform as a band, it's like, you guys sound just like the record. And it's kind of like matching people, to songs. And that's how that works sometimes. And Bronwyn can sing everything too. So it's great.
Every time. Well, I have a good time. I think we all have a good idea of what everyone's skills are. Everyone in the band has a lot of skills, and everyone in the band pretty much sings. We're even trying to get Brandon to do some more vocals. He's shy. He's going to do it. He's pitching on Time Warp now. So we talk about what do people really enjoy doing? Like, what song do we love, and what would we be super excited to perform? That's huge, right? Because otherwise, it's not fun. And what would be a really good fit for someone's style or voice? What can we most authentically produce that we're all playing the instruments? We're not using tracks. We're not, sorry, everybody. We're not cheating. That's from my classical training. I just can't help it. I feel like tracks are cheating unless you're in a very certain situation. So there's a lot of things that go into deciding it.
But also, if you're relying on tracks, it's just one more technical piece that goes wrong. And one thing that I've learned from doing this podcast is something technology wise is always going to go wrong. So when those things happen, like, how do you all maintain composure on stage?
Yeah, well, we're lucky that we have just this amazing ESP between the band now. It's like if there's a part of the song that's like, oh, we got to stop, and so we'll gracefully figure out a way to end the song without feeling like we stopped abruptly. But
That's almost never happened, though, I would say. Maybe
nah,
like once or twice
nah,
ever
that was probably our early
in
days.
like 200 plus performances. Yeah. Yeah.
But we always have an idea how we're going to get out of a song if we need to, or it's like, oh, we need to take a break now, where a client says we got to take a break. Then we can do the end.
Generally, people are good at looking at each other. If something is, we don't usually have stuff going wrong. Like if something's going wrong, it's usually like maybe the equipment. Like you'll find that, oh, I need
Yeah.
to patch differently or whatever it is,
Mhm.
something funny.
Where somebody breaks a guitar string.
Yeah, it's rare, but it happens. Or a drumstick. Well, people are really fast at replacing or adjusting in mid song, so we almost never have to stop. We just kind of adjust and keep going, no matter what. And often the audience doesn't really realize that something's happened because people don't just stop. They'll just play as they can, and then they'll quickly replace it between a song.
Like Camille, our drummer, fell off, or their
Yeah, I mean,
drum
stuff like
stool
this.
fell off the stage the
Yeah.
other week, but she was still standing
I
and
didn't even
playing
actually
and
realize
grabbing
it.
her drum stool
Yeah.
and fixing.
Yeah,
Wow.
like stuff like that, that people will just make it work. All kinds of stuff. When people are on wireless packs, which they generally are, they can cross to each other and even talk, like, hey, to check what they're doing. So we really aim to be a part of being a professional band is just keep going. And, the audience is not necessarily going to know what's going on if you don't let on, So that's our motto.
And then
Show must go on.
and then in terms of like the live performance though, as you're sort of progressing, some bands rely more on the drummer to keep time, some bands rely more on the bass player to keep time. I'm curious, in your band, which one, or is it maybe even a combination of both that helps sort of keep time as the show goes on?
Yeah, it's definitely like, Camille's the
Our drummer.
the heartbeat of the band,
Yeah.
but she's also the great cuer. Like when
Mhm.
if we have a new song, say we're performing for the first time, she's like expert at cueing sections like the bridge, the chorus, or the end.
She's essential. She's just, we
It-
couldn't do this without her. She's amazing. And I have to say, sorry, Annalise, our bassist, who's also incredible. The fact that they've played together for 10 plus years now, probably.
yeah.
They really are a locked-in rhythm section. So we rely on both of them.
And then as you're touring around and you're seeing the going to these venues and experiencing one thing, sorry, words are hard sometimes, folks. Yeah, it's the detriment of autism sometimes. One thing that I'm really passionate about dispelling is this myth that artists don't want you to come up after the show and tell them how good they've done. Because a lot of people get nervous. A lot of people I don't want to. So like, are you the type of people and I know you already are, but I just want people to hear it from your own mouths about how important it is for that positive feedback after a show.
It's so important. It makes all the difference to me. If even one person is dancing during a show, and it's mostly listening audience, it makes a huge difference. But people saying they enjoyed it, sometimes you can't tell. People have resting faces, I'm just going to say that much, right? And you can't tell they're enjoying themselves, and you're like, oh my gosh, you're singing your heart out, dancing your heart out, and you're like, oh my gosh, they hate it, or they're like meh or whatever. And then them coming up and talking to you afterward, and anyone in the band doesn't have to be saying how much they enjoyed it means a lot because we do this because we love it. And we want other people to have the joy that we have in it. And so, yes, please come talk to me. And I will often go around and talk to you and see where you're from or why you came. Or it's great to meet people during the show or in breaks and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of times there's people who maybe I've known for a long time who finally get to see the band, or they've come out again to see the band and they've stayed the whole night, which is like, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And they'll come up at the end of the night after we finish and say, "Wow, what a great show!" Or "I'm so glad I got to see you," or "So glad we came out." And then you get to catch up with people. Sometimes in our busy lives, it's the only time I get to see like people outside of the band,
Right.
and family. So it's really great to see people I've known or over time. So you can catch up for 5 minutes and just do that. So yeah, please come say
Yeah,
hi.
seriously. It's also super fun to hear what people enjoyed because sometimes it'll surprise me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why. They'll say, I really love the Gwen Stefani song, or I can't believe you did Paramore, or whatever it is. It's interesting to me to hear everyone's different, like what they really got out of the show. You never know.
And I think it's fascinating too that you all use current stuff as well as the 80s and as well as the 90s. So it's like you're very diverse along the way. And so you'll actually get every once in a while like a current hit in there, and it's like that kind of is out of left field, but yeah. Right? Yeah. So like, how hard was that one to pick up?
Hot to go? Not hard. Yeah.
I mean, there's some songs that you know are like the biggest song in the world right now. It's like,
Right.
why aren't we doing that?
Yeah.
Why can't let's do it.
I love doing that one because the bartenders always, they're back there doing the moves. Like, it's like something about that song. The bartenders just love it. So I'm like, this is for you. Other ones are harder. It depends on the orchestration of the song.
And you all talked a little bit about like you're all in it for the passion of the music. And one of the things that I have learned along this pathway of talking to musicians is usually it's for the passion and not the money.
Oh, yeah.
Like we hope that bands and artists make enough to make a living. And for a lot of bands it's not.
Mhm.
And so like from your perspective, like how important is it for the audience if they love it and they're enjoying tip a couple of bucks, tip a couple of bucks in the tip jar, yeah, because like the amount of money you make in a gig might not even be enough to come and pay for your gear, and so it's like you're already sort of working at a deficit.
Yeah.
And so it's really important, like if you're moved and inspired, throw a few bucks their way.
Thank you. And we always like to share a few with the bartenders if we can, like
Yeah.
working too. And, so that's really thoughtful of you. The goal, we are a professional band and the musicians are always paid. I never ask my musicians to play for free, like, especially because a lot of the people in our band make their living primarily from playing music. So, super important. But yeah, it's also for the joy. So thank you for thinking of it. We do appreciate it.
Yeah, because it's one of those things where uh music in of itself is such a needed escape from the realities of life.
Exactly.
And anything that we can do to support the background of music through musicians, we should have to do. And I mean that in a way like I'm going to be the type of person who goes to 30 shows a year, 40 shows a year at $20 a show instead of going to 2 shows a year at $600 a ticket. And I always say, and I don't know if you agree with this or not, once a club gets a certain size, you are sacrificing sound quality. And so when you're going to like these huge 10,000, 20,000 foot arenas, like you're not getting the depth of sound. And so I always encourage people to go to the small clubs, go to the bands that are doing like the cover tunes and all that stuff, because you're going to have fun, but then the sound is also important. So one of the things that I love to ask is how important is volume
Oh my God.
when it comes to performing music?
It's everything.
Well, there's a couple things that happen with us since we are on in-ear monitors. We can focus on the sound that's coming out of the PA. Sometimes those monitors just bleed all over the stage and make just a band loud. So we're able to actually mix our band nicely now, and it sounds like not like CD, but it sounds very representative of. You can hear everything nicely. Now, in certain rooms, the bass frequency is a little muddy and stuff, so we try and clean that up, and Brandon will do all that stuff in the iPad and fix everything and make everything
He's like
just
playing with one hand and adjusting the iPad with the other hand sometimes. He's amazing.
run out in the audience and just swing play.
He does it. It's also super important to balance the volume for the venue, like the bartender's sake. Sometimes if you're too loud and the bartenders can't hear, they can't do their job. The crowd is,
Yeah.
their clients are frustrated. So we want to sound good, but we also want them to all enjoy it, not be blasted out, and be able to do their work. So it is an important balance.
Yeah, because like I have been through those experiences where you go to a show and it's so loud that you need earplugs before your ear hurts.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like just 2 more notches down and you're going to have a much more wonderful experience. So I appreciate that you put that intention into the volume, because it makes so much difference on the listener end.
It's so true. And something that maybe people don't think about for a professional band who plays 2 or 3 times a week, which we often do, sometimes 20 shows in a month or more, like in the high season of the summer, especially the singers really need to preserve their instrument. And if you're trying to be heard over a monitor or PA or it's super loud, you're going to oversing, you're going to tire your instrument. If you have in-ears or the volume's just right and you can really hear yourself and be right up on the mic, you can control that and you're not going to oversing. So it's really essential if you're going to be doing show after show after show after show to have that volume control.
And then another thing too is that some singers don't have the knowledge or the understanding of how close you need to be at the mic at certain times. And I appreciate that you have a focus on that. You can see it when you sing. Why is it important as a singer to recognize that sometimes you need to be farther or closer to the mic?
Yeah, well, I can speak to it first, but what I was just talking about for one thing, and if and for the sound guy or girl sometimes too, if you're too far from the mic and they're constantly trying to adjust you so you can be picked up, and then you're too close to the mic and they have to adjust back, it's very hard for them to track where they're going to, EPU essentially. And Brandon has said he really appreciates me being up this far close to the mic, and that's so I can hear myself really well, and I can control especially soft volumes or harmonies really, really well when we really need to be locking on harmonies or something at a softer volume. I'm really close up. When I know I'm going to be loud, like wailing, because I can get really loud, I pull way back so I'm not blasting out the mic, blasting out everybody's ears. Also, when I'm singing backup, because I can be loud, I might pull off the mic. So there's a lot of things to think about. But if I know that it's really important, Brandon knows my patterns, and he said he appreciates that too. You don't want to constantly be far back from the mic though, because then it's impossible to control for the sound person.
Yeah, well, usually when I'm singing background, it's like this
Right.
this thing.
Yeah.
The 5-finger.
Yeah, 5-finger rule. Yeah.
Or I'm just up on the mic. Yeah.
If you're singing lead, you're up on
Yeah.
the mic more. Yeah.
Yeah, yelling. Enunciate.
So a question I'll ask each of you individually. What do you love about performing with the other? So I'll start with you, Bronwyn. What do you love about performing with Blake?
Geez. What do I not love about performing with Blake? I have never had more fun ever. Everything from planning set lists and shows together to actually being up there and singing together to playing off of each other and looking at we dance together. Sometimes we'll switch instruments. I love the way our voices sound together. We just have such a good time. I'll let you in.
Ditto. No, I think
you're not getting off that easy.
There's some of these songs that have pretty provocative lyrics.
True.
And so I was like, I can't sing to the room. I think I'll just turn my head and sing to you. Don't make eye contact with all the people in the room singing these lyrics. It's too much. But I can sing them to you. I'm thinking
you have a foil on stage.
I have a foil on stage.
Yep.
I'm thinking in particular, we do "Pony" by Genuine. So,
I could see that.
There's some poetry going on there. So
yeah. I will also say, this is kind of cheesy. I will probably never stop enjoying or crushing on like watching how amazing he is, and just like looking over there going, he's so great, and watching everyone else in the crowd enjoying how amazing he is. It's always fun. It's never going to get old.
Yeah. Well, I enjoyed watching Bronwyn just run into the crowd and do her thing. Said, wow, that's my wife. Look at her go.
And the energy to you too, when you are on stage, because I think I find it awesome that you talked about, I love how your voices sound together. Did you quickly in the relationship know that you two were going to be like perfect pitch together?
From the first date. So our first date ever was a birthday karaoke date. It's pretty much as soon as he started singing and I started singing at this date, we were like, oh, wow. Because he had only heard me sing classical. We met at a piano bar where I was singing at a musical theater piano bar, and I did what we call in musical theater legit, which is almost like opera song from Showboat called Bill. It's beautiful. But he had not heard me sing like Walk. So I think for both of us, it was kind of a revolution.
Yeah, no, we our first date with Voice Box Karaoke. You ever been to Voice
Shout
Box?
out to Voice Box Northwest, especially.
Pretty special place. You know, it's you can rent a room for a couple hours and just sing, and then
I have my own story about that place, but
yeah, but we took turns singing, and I think my thought was like, I just want to hear her sing, and I'll just try and keep up my end. But she sang every style music, and I'm like, wow, she really can sing the phone book. Look at that. And then when I would sing, she would sing the correct harmonies on pitch, and it was just like, wow, she really amazing. Has all the skills, check, and check, and so that was kind of good to know. But I enjoyed just hanging out and singing, and so I think that was, if there wasn't a spark, that was definitely a spark.
That was our monthly date for a long time until we got too busy to do karaoke anymore, and now we're too busy.
I get that. So my story with that particular place, it was actually, I didn't know it was one where you can rent rooms. And so I took a first date there, and neither of us were comfortable enough to be singing by ourselves. And so it was the most awkward, unusual, like we agreed to be friends, but we were like, it did not go well. But it was fine, but it was just like, cause like it was in there and it was like, we were not expecting it. And when my autistic brain gets into something, something that I can't expect or anticipate. It just goes off the rails. But so back to the sort of like the music piece, because I'm curious. What prompted you to pick the synthesizer that you're using now?
Oh, wow. So I think I was kind of fortunate to grow up in an era where every few months there was a new piece of technology. And, we're probably talking about the mid 70s when it was just the Moog and then the Poly Moog. You can play two notes at the same time. Then monsters like the Prophet 5 came out and like, whoa, the Oberheim OBX. It's like, whoa, these are like the keyboards on records. Everyone's playing these, but they cost what they cost, to buy a car or something like that. So it's like, well, I'll never have that. So eventually consumer level pricing came into play, and those synths were pretty good for that level of price. So I started playing a lot of Roland, Juno synths, or those kind of things. So Roland's always been my thing. Then Yamaha started coming out with some great stuff, and so it's always been a combination of those two. So I play currently a Roland Juno. I think it's called a D6 or something like that. So a lot of those sounds are based off of those 80s keyboard sounds, but except there's like thousands of them in there, and I don't know what to pick anymore. So they're all great.
Sometimes it's based on weight right?
Sometimes
Yeah.
it's based on like how cleanly can it cut through the sound of our band, some certain, or complement the sound of our band. So there's a lot of rehearsal, kind of like, let me try this, and let me try this live on stage now.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, there's a lot of difference between the sound based on the model, right? So you kind of have to pick the model based on the sound you want in the end, right?
Yeah, back in the day, I used to audition things in the music store, and I had try the piano sound, the organ sound, the string sound, the horn sound, and maybe like whatever the most groovy synth sound was, or synth sounds. Like, could I play like great chords, lush chords, stabby chords? And that was kind of my parameters. And then I'll take that.
Yeah.
You weigh that against the next one from the other maker and price point. Well, how much does this weigh? This weighs this much. Yeah. Will it fit in my Volkswagen? I don't know. Yeah.
And then when you get to shows and you're starting to sort of set up, and is there a strategy in terms of which band member is where on the stage?
We have had a stage plot since the beginning of our existence, and then Camille's always in the middle and the back, and then 4 across the front. But there's a space between Bronwyn and I. So if you're looking at the stage straight ahead, you see five people. No one's going to block anybody on the stage.
Yeah,
because everyone's a performer, and they deserve their to be seen.
Shine.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
And I appreciate that, because a lot of drummers get treated like sort of like the forgotten person in the band. And so the fact that you are intentional about that, it shows just how much respect you have across the board. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, or even if we have like Bailey, our trumpet player, come in and play shows, his spot will be between Brandon and Bronwyn, so there's like a V.
Yeah, it's really thought out. And Camille always has to set up first, and then we group around her.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then is there times where you can't bring as much equipment based on the size of the stage? How do you handle that kind of thing?
I think for the most part, we've kind of fine-tuned our gear, and being that we're all in in-ears as well, it kind of fine-tunes the size of the rigs we have to bring. We don't have to bring like a Marshall half stack. We don't need that. So we have everything to power the stage, basically, so everyone can hear.
Sometimes Camille will bring a slightly smaller set if we're really constrained on venue size and stage size, and also it's quieter.
And then in terms of like the setup, and we were talking about the stage plot and how interaction. So that's the question I was wanting. How hard was it to transition to in-ears? Because I hear some musicians like it's really hard because it's a little awkward at first. Was that transition to inner ears versus the amp something that was difficult?
it was like, wow, this is great. Like,
Okay.
it's really here. So not so much. I mean, I think the hardest part for me was just like what fits in my ears and is not going to fall out because I do a lot of head banging and I do a lot of running around and dancing and splits and jumping in the air and what's not going to fall out or get caught. So I've gotten a lot better at that.
Yeah, I think I was hesitant because I've growing up just a big monitor in my ear and a keyboard amp, just so I can feel secure.
Yeah.
But then, as the school of Brandon has taught us, like, well, no, we can put all that in your ears. It's okay, and so we trust in Brandon, and he's pretty much dialed it in, so everything's consistent, the same every show now. So I think for some of us, we have our amps pushing a little bit, just not as loud. It's sort of a security blanket in a way, but also we can feel it a little bit as
Hmm.
well.
Hmm.
So and so that's I think we have it just right now. I'm really happy.
Yeah, because that's one of the important pieces of music is
Yeah.
is the ability to feel it as well as hear it, because it's one of those. I liken it to a miracle on stage every time, because you have 5 people on stage, all with their own thought patterns, all on their own responsibility. Yet for 3 minutes and some odd seconds, you're all on the same wavelength, thinking in the same key, thinking in the same tune, and it's just like what life would be without music.
Isn't that
Like,
amazing?
oh
It's
yeah.
a miracle. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, when you're performing, like, what does that make you feel? Because, like, I don't think people can understand what it's like because, like, there's this balance of nervousness, excitement, all of these emotions balled into one, and then somehow you have to let it all go and just perform. And it's like, was that something that you picked up along the way, or was that something like, you know what, I'm always been comfortable behind a
Mm.
mic?
I feel like I've gotten more and more comfortable the more I've gotten to perform. And, it's something that just from My Little Pony where they call it, and my kids use this term, call it being nervous sighted, where you're both nervous and excited. And I'm not so nervous now ever, but there's always excitement. And you've got to have a little bit of that anxiety going into performance because it gives you that energy and that focus that you need to really bring that miracle together, like you're saying with the rest of your band. Uh, I think it's healthy to have a little bit of anxiety, just the sweet spot where you're prepared. It makes you prepare, it makes you focus. But yeah, the more you get to do it, the better it is. And how it feels, incredible. It's just, I never have more fun than when I'm performing with this band.
Probably, I always feel I'm never prepared, so I'm always nervous, even though like everything's fine. The band is pretty cohesive unit, so we back each other up, and I say, okay, I have nothing. Why am I worrying about this song? But we're always doing new songs every show, so there's always
I do a little nervous.
okay, we got to get to
Yeah.
the 10th song is the new one. Okay, here we go. Or if I'm singing a new song for me, then I'm a wreck some days. I was like, oh God, here we go.
It's always
I'm gonna make up new words. That's fun.
Because that's a good thing to know, right? One of the hardest lessons I had came recently. I don't know the hardest lesson, but it's like one of the most profound lessons. I got up on stage for like the first time in 20 plus years and sung War Pigs with Brandon Logan and I remember it's like getting up and I looked over and I'm like, holy crap, I'm on stage with Brandon Logan and I forgot 3 of the lyrics. But it's like if it happens, like the crowd doesn't even
right.
notice.
Yep.
Like for the whole long time, I'm like, oh man, I did terrible. But like people are like, no, they don't even notice. Yeah. And how important is it for like if you're an artist and something happens, like you forget a lyric, it's like, how important is it just to keep going?
It's the most important thing in the
Yeah.
world.
Yes.
Yeah. Again, it's that like the show must go on mentality. And that's where I think one of the many ways that my classical training has really benefited me is you do not show that something went wrong. You do not stop. It's all part of the plan. And everything is great. And no one's gonna ever know. And internally, I do remember my mistakes and I'm hard on myself. And after a show, I might focus too much on, gosh, I wish this or that had gone better, or I wish I hadn't forgotten that lyric. I was just telling Blake I had a dream last night that I forgot the lyrics at the beginning of the song. So there's always going to be that anxiety, those anxiety dreams. But generally other people won't know if you do not show that something went wrong. And they'll have a great time because the audience will pick up on your anxiety. They'll pick up on something being wrong if you show it. right? And my daughter who sings and drums with us, that's something that she's learning is like, hey, no matter what happens, that's part of the plan. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, I think for the most part, if I forget a lyric, I think I'll substitute a phonetically similar word.
Camille's back there laughing at him.
Yeah,
She knows.
so because we're all on in ears, so everyone knows
Yeah.
like ah ha ha ha.
We all have done it. We have all done it, and we all cover for each other really well. That's another thing that's great about this band.
Yeah, because it's and the other part too that I've noticed that it shows is that there's no egomaniacs on stage. So like everybody knows their part, they play to perfection, but nobody tries to outshine anybody in your band. Nobody tries to like outperform anybody else. And it's appreciated from an audience member because it's the more time you can have like for everybody to shine, the overall product is just going to be better.
So true. And everyone in our band is awesome. I mean, we have great singers, great musicians. They all deserve a spotlight.
And so I want to go back to the bass player for a second.
Yeah.
Because like, how did you two you all meet and get her into the band?
Well, in my previous band, I needed a sub really quick, and so I knew of Annalise. I've seen her in the Prince band. I thought, wow, she's amazing. So years later, I said, I need a sub. And it's coming up. So I contacted her. We talked through. It was a Christmas show I was doing, and the arrangements were really hard. We're covering like Trans Siberian Orchestra. We're covering Man of Steamroller. So it's like some arrangements, and so she nailed all that stuff. And then I needed her to sub for another thing, and she, can you learn 40 songs in like 2 weeks?
She still talks about that.
And on that particular show, Camille had the sub for that one too. And so you both are, you got your work cut out for you. We can rehearse. and anyway, so that's kind of how I got acclimated to Annalise, and then eventually I want you to play with me.
She's amazing. She's a super hard worker. She's the one who always has all the forms of the songs written out. So if there's any question about the
It's
form,
like an a big
Yeah.
art drawing pad.
It's
So
like, yeah,
I need to see your big piece of paper over there.
she's always prepared, and she's a great rapper and singer. And we're trying to highlight her more and more, and really bring her out of her shell.
Let her know that I would love to interview her
Okay.
at some point
Oh,
too. Yeah,
yeah.
that would be so much fun.
She is knowledgeable about coins and
And she's
currency
an amazing
from
artist, actually, too.
from all countries.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
it's fascinating listening to her talk about money.
Yeah,
And she has an account for that on Instagram, and she has an account for her beautiful artwork. It's really incredible. So seriously,
Yeah.
I'll tell her.
yeah, please. And so going back to sort of the musicality piece, and then moving forward, one of the things that I want people to understand is if you're interested in having you all as a gig, what's the best place for people to find more information and to contact you?
On our website, bazmotomusic.com, or just emailing me, bazmotomusic@gmail.com. Either way, but the email is the most reliable. There's a number of venues, messaging me on social media, either the Instagram or Facebook accounts. It's good.
And then in terms of like the actual experience of you putting on a show, I do want people to understand that if you check out this band, you are going to have fun. Like there's no doubt about it. The energy that you provide is infectious, and you can tell that it's the result of hard work, right? You can tell you're passionate, but also you have worked your asses off to get here. Yeah. And one of the things that I would like to round up our conversation, because we've been at this almost an hour now, is what advice would you give to people who are just starting out in music? Because they see your level of professionalism and they're like, how do I get there? What's your best advice for people to even start?
That is a great question, and my daughter's really sick of hearing this, but, especially from my classical background, practice, 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 and that means every day, and that means the days that you don't feel like it. I don't necessarily totally feel like practicing every single day, but, I have this part, I have to play well on stage by this date, I gotta be ready, and that's where some of the little bit of anxiety is helpful, right? No matter how many instruments you're covering or playing, like touching on what you need to touch on every day is the key. So it's discipline and regularly putting in the hours. There's that Malcolm Gladwell book, 10,000 hours, that?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of truth to that. But also find things you really enjoy doing and you're really inspired by it, because that's what's going to keep you practicing. Otherwise, it doesn't pay off.
Yeah, I think back when I was in my late teens, early 20s, because I didn't have girlfriends, I didn't date, I didn't do any fun thing. So I would spend a lot of quality time with my stack of keyboards in the basement and just learning songs. I didn't have a band. I'd say, well, I should just learn things. I learned some Emerson, Lake and Palmer, yes, and just be ready for the call. But that sort of stuff, it was just putting in the time and the reps to get ready for whatever you needed to learn, and listening a lot was helpful too. In our current situations, like there are some days maybe I can't get to, playing keyboards, but I'm going to listen to a song, listen for the things I need to work on. Once I get my hands on my keyboard, I'm going to work on this passage and just try and make sure I'm doing it when I get two hands going on it, the guitar thing. I'm gonna try and do all that
And
stuff at
amazing
once,
and singing.
coordinate.
One thing I will add that's maybe a unique perspective is, especially for new stuff we're doing, I practice as if I am nervous. So there are things that happen on stage that may or may not go exactly the way you want. And you need to over practice to the point where you have the muscle memory where your hands or your voice or whatever it is you're doing go in automatic. Even if you're nervous, even if you're distracted, even if things aren't quite the way you want them to be, where you will still be able to pull it together. So I'll practice to the point where I have something down, and then I'll have someone come in and listen to me do it, and then I'll do it with the band, and then I'll do it on stage, because you're ratcheting up how nervous or scary it is to do that new song or that new part or whatever it is you're doing. So just being able to play it by yourself is not good enough. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And also too that I learned something the other day too. Like even if you're not able to physically practice the keys,
Right.
if you're able to practice the keys in your mind, that's still
Yeah.
practicing. And that concept was
Yeah.
foreign to me
Yeah.
until just last week. Yeah. And
Mhm.
so we're wrapping it up. The next show that you all have coming up. Do you know where that's going to be? Is that the one in Bend?
We're playing the Dublin on the 28th. It's like an unvalentine's, like post Valentine's fair, where we're just kind of
That's
playing it.
epic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fascinating in a way because so my girlfriend and I, we've made this commitment that we're going to celebrate Valentine's Day off Valentine's Day.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, so we can go out and spend $100 on a special crappy Valentine's meal, or we can go to someplace really special, not on Valentine's Day, and get a really great meal for the same price.
That's
So
very
that's kind of what
smart.
it's sort of hacking. So I love that you're doing that.
That'll be really fun. It's our one of our favorite venues to play, and there's always a good dancing crowd there. We took a rare weekend off this weekend because Camille's working a different event, not playing. But if I can mention this, I am bringing back a little bit of my musical theater background. I'm starring in the Fertile Ground Portland Mini Music Festival, the Fertile Ground Portland Original Works Festival. It's a musical theater and straight theater, which is what we say when there's not music.
Yeah.
Event that happens every year in Portland, where composers and musical theater pros get together and put on original works. And so my rehearsals for that start tomorrow. I'm starring in one of the musicals, and I need to get going and learning my music.
Congratulations.
doing
That's so
tonight.
epic.
Should be fun.
What prompted the decision to chase that?
It's part of my background, so people know me. So they asked me. I didn't have to audition or anything. The
That's
composer, I starred in her last mini musical right before the pandemic, and the composer, Shari Smith, who is amazing, and her musical is called Freedom. It's the story of Moses from the Jewish perspective. It's incredible. She's an amazing composer. I just have to throw that out there. It's April 12th at the Hart Theater. I hope it's okay. And
No,
plug in for Thursday.
100%. Yeah.
She asked me to do it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because it's one of those things where, so is it hard to make the transition between like practicing for like a rock event versus practicing for an event like that, like a musical? Because like you're using a different part of your voice, right?
I use a lot of different parts of my voice during the show. So that's not so everything from high stuff to low. So that's not so hard. I actually need to go through the script and highlight my lines and make sure I know everywhere I'm supposed to be singing. So that's different than just listening to a song on,
Yeah.
Spotify or whatever. Yeah.
Because you have dialogue and all that stuff too. That's so awesome. Ah, that's so awesome.
You must attend with us. We'll send you a link.
You got it.
We'd love to see you out sometime, Shawn. Thank you so much for having us. And if you ever are coming to something that has a cover, please let us know. We'll put you and your +1 on guest list.
You got it. I will take you up on that because you all are amazing, right? And I really mean this sincerely, folks. If you go to one of their concerts, you're gonna have so much fun. Oh, it's great. It's great. The interaction of the crowd, and the best part is they don't care who you are. You're going to be accepted
That's
no
right.
matter what. If you're dancing, great. If you can't dance because you have a disability, great. Everybody will feel welcomed at your show.
It's so true.
Absolutely.
And I'll come around and talk to you if I can, if you're sitting at a table.
Yeah. And I'll end the podcast the way I always end the podcast, folks. Be kind.
Yeah.
We all live on the same planet. We breathe the same air. And this world would just be a much better place if we treated everybody with a little kindness and respect.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much.
Bronwyn,
again.
Blake,
Thank you very much.
thank you.